CNN announced they will be doing interviews with every presidential candidate. And by every presidential candidate, they mean every presidential candidate except one. Hi, thanks for watching. Hope you're having a great weekend. I saw some exciting news on CNN where they announced they're going to be interviewing all the presidential candidates on the eve of Super Tuesday. And that's very exciting because all the candidates, and then I looked at the candidates, and there was one notable exception. Tulsi Gabbard was not included on that. And I want to do a little thought experiment here. And that is, just pretend, if you will, this is just a thought experiment, pretend that Tulsi Gabbard were black. Pretend that there were a black candidate, that there are 7 candidates, 6 of which are white, and 1 is black. And a major establishment corporate media news network like CNN decided to invite all the white candidates and exclude the one major candidate that was African American. Just think about that. Yeah, I don't think that that would happen. But in this case, Tulsi Gabbard, the representative from Hawaii, is not black. She's not African American. She's mixed race. She's Polynesian and Asian and white. And so she doesn't qualify to them. She does not represent an ethnicity that matters to CNN, and so they just can exclude her. Now, I'm not saying that they're excluding her because of her race. I'm not saying that at all. I want to be really clear. I'm not saying that CNN is excluding her because of her race, but if she were black, if she were Hispanic, right, Latina, she would definitely be interviewed by CNN. And to me, if you treat people differently based on your race, seems a little racist to me. So let's go to the story from CNN. And this is from CNN Politics. CNN announces interviews with Democratic candidates on eve of Super Tuesday. CNN will conduct extended interviews with 7 Democratic presidential candidates on the eve of the crucial Super Tuesday contests, where 14 states and 1 U.S. territory will vote, the network announced Friday. On March 2nd, the current frontrunner, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, will be interviewed at 8, followed by Joe Biden, former Mayor Pete, Amy Klobuchar, and Elizabeth Warren. Then later will be Michael Bloomberg and Tom Steyer. So those are the 7 candidates that CNN has chosen to interview on the eve of the big Super Tuesday event. Now, even if we go to CNN's own page on who the candidates are, we have 8 candidates: Biden, Bloomberg, Buttigieg, Gabbard, Klobuchar, Sanders, Steyer, and Warren. There she is right there with the nice purple background. So CNN says that she is one of the major candidates for president. And yet, when they are doing their interviews, they're interviewing everyone except her. That seems suspicious, to say the least. And that's the thing, is that there's no explanation from CNN why they're excluding her from their interviews. It's not like they said, oh, we set some ground rules as to who we invited and who we didn't, and here's what they are because we're a transparent network. No, they didn't do that at all. There was no explanation as to why she's not included. None. They didn't explain why. And if they explained why, and they said they came up with some cockamamie reasons to not include her, at least they would be letting people know that she's running. But by saying, we're interviewing all the candidates, and then you see all the candidates and she's not there, you just assume that she's not in the race anymore. I mean, that's how people think. In fact, many people that I talk to, and if I mention Tulsi Gabbard, they say, oh, I thought she dropped out. Well, the reason you would think she dropped out is because the corporate mainstream establishment media doesn't cover her at all. In fact, here's something odd. They cover someone else a whole lot more than Tulsi Gabbard. On the screen here, this is Stacey Abrams. I've seen her on CNN way more than I've seen Tulsi Gabbard. And who is Stacey Abrams, you may ask? Well, she ran for governor and lost. She was like a state-level representative. She's never been a congresswoman. She hasn't been a senator. There's no reason that she should be getting all this coverage. But for whatever reason, and I'm not saying that it's race, but it is interesting that Stacey Abrams will be covered on CNN all the time. And yet a major candidate for president is effectively invisible to CNN. Now, again, I'm not saying that race has anything to do with this. In fact, I would say that if Tulsi Gabbard were white, she would also be excluded from this. The reason that CNN and other mainstream media are excluding Tulsi Gabbard from coverage is because she is anti-establishment, she's anti-war, she calls them out, and they can't have that. Specifically, we know who runs the corporate media, and we know their ties to certain people of the past who may end up being the nominee. We know these things. I believe that if you just did this thought experiment and you pictured a candidate, the exact same candidate as Tulsi Gabbard with the exact same views, but she happened to be African American, she happened to be black, there is no way that she could be excluded from these interviews on CNN. But she's a minority that they don't care about. And so they don't. They can exclude her. And I think that's wrong. I think that's racist to me. If you treat people differently based on their race, that's not a good look. Not a good look at all. In fact, if Tulsi Gabbard were black, I guarantee upon this announcement there'd be a Twitter hashtag CNN racist or something like that. CNN racist AF. But yeah, that's where we're at today. And I also want to be clear, it's not just CNN, okay? Many in the corporate establishment media are hiding her as well. In fact, during the New Hampshire primary results, I went to the New York Times live reporting page, and they excluded her from the results of the primary while it was live. They had her, Tom Steyer, so it would be her and Tom Steyer were really close all night, followed by Andrew Yang. And when you went to the New York Times live reporting page for it, it went Tom Steyer, Andrew Yang, and there was no reporting of Tulsi Gabbard whatsoever. So it's not just CNN, it's all the establishment media. And my conclusion is the establishment media is racist AF. But that's just my thought on it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Peace.